Imagine a world where customers use your product every single day, but they have no idea it's you. They get the outcome they wanted, your API handled it, but your brand? Completely invisible. That's the risk of the AI agent era. You become plumbing. I'm Jeff Maines, and today we're talking about the most insidious threat in SaaS right now. This is video 6 in the Futureproof series. We've mapped where the money is moving, and now we need to talk about what happens when you're in the right place, building the right thing, and you still lose. Because here's what's happening. AI agents are using software without humans ever opening it. It's happened a little bit now. It's about to happen a whole lot more. An agent, for example, books a meeting, uses your scheduling API. Customer gets confirmation. Everybody's happy, except now you're invisible. Your utility, your infrastructure. And when you're infrastructure, you lose pricing power, you lose brand equity, you become a cost to optimize away. So here's what we're covering today: the pipe versus the platform spectrum. 3 signals that you're becoming a pipe, and the moves you can make to become a platform instead. And by the end, you'll know exactly where your product sits and what to do about it. Let's go. Let me tell you a story that should terrify every SaaS founder. I was talking to the CEO of a salon and spa booking platform, and I'll call him Frankie. And his company had been growing steadily for years, and they had a really solid product, good customer retention. They're doing about 8 million a year ARR. And then Google announces that they're integrating booking directly into search and maps. So the workflow, the customer searches, haircut near me, sees a salon, clicks book appointment, fills out the form, gets a confirmation, done. Behind the scenes, Google's system was hitting Frankie's API, and then the booking goes through and everybody's happy. But here's what Frankie realized. The customer has no idea that his company handled that booking. And they think they booked through Google, and the salon thinks that Google handled it. And Frankie's brand is just nowhere to be seen. He's processing the transaction, providing the infrastructure, but he's become completely invisible. And when you're invisible, you're replaceable. And so Frankie called me and he said, hey, I just realized I built a really good backend for Google to own the customer relationship. And that is exactly the pipe problem. You do the work, someone else owns the brand, and when it's time to negotiate pricing or renewals, you have zero leverage because they're like, who are you? Because if you're just plumbing, then somebody will always build cheaper plumbing. It's not hypothetical. This is happening across SaaS right now. AI agents are using your APIs, your features, your infrastructure, but your customers don't know it's you, and they don't care because all they want is the outcome. So the question is, are you becoming a pipe, or can you become a platform? Let me show you what I mean. This is the spectrum that every SaaS product sits on. On the left, we have the invisible pipe. And this is, you provide infrastructure, APIs, utility functions. You're used, but you're not necessarily seen. You're a commodity. And pricing pressure is absolutely relentless. On the right, we have essential platforms. And what I mean by that is you own the customer relationship. You are the system of record. You're where people go to get stuff done. You're differentiated and you're defensible. Let me give you some examples. Far left would be things like generic payment processors. We'll put them over here. Payment processors, and some of them would argue that they're really unique, but all they do is they provide a pipe to MasterCard, Visa, Discover, Amex, that kind of thing. They really don't do much more than provide the pipe. So it'd be generic payment processors, and I would say Stripe doesn't fall into that category because they built a platform. So we'll say SMS gateways, commodity cloud storage. So storage would definitely be a pipe because there's nothing really differentiated about it. Is there a difference if I store at AWS or I store Google Cloud or Azure or whatever? It's all storage. Nobody cares. They're utilities, and seriously, nobody cares which one they use. I mean, price is the main differentiator. And if we move a little bit further over to the middle, we'll say that maybe here's some calendar apps, and that was actually one of my examples there. We'll say APIs, email verification tools. What else would it be? Translation services. So those would be sitting maybe a little bit further over. They're useful, they're necessary, but they're mostly accessed through other products and they have low brand awareness. And this is a really interesting time right now because there are a lot of people that are building these types of things and they're like, I'm just going to be the conduit and I'm going to have usage-based pricing and everybody's going to use me and I'm going to be invisible. And this is how you get that one person billion-dollar company. But it's pretty far down the scale here. And I'll show you why that matters in a minute. But think about that. When somebody says, yeah, hey, I'm going to build this thing and it doesn't require anything because it's all going to be APIs and tools and all that. I'm just going to be invisible. This is a warning for that. So low brand awareness sounds really good. Middle right, I would say, as we're going up the spectrum here, this would be vertical SaaS, and I talked about that in a previous video. I think that's one of the places to be. Vertical SaaS with strong workflow. So it's not just that it's vertical, but it has strong workflows because they're building process around what you do. So they're building their processes around your software. It's products that manage critical data. It's tools with a network effect. And there are some AI tools that would fit into that have that network effect. Slack would be one of those. Very basic tool, easy to duplicate, but they have a huge network effect. And the difference, why is there a dividing line between, these two here? And that is because, people choose these. They're not just plumbing. But what's happening right now is they're sliding left, and they will continue to slide left if you're not careful. Now, the far right, these are essential platforms. These are things like Salesforce. This is Shopify. I would say QuickBooks. It's probably over there. It's products that are the source of truth for critical business data. You don't switch lightly. Xero would probably be over there. So very much like QuickBooks. But the difference, Xero is used, big time in Europe and somewhat here. QuickBooks, I would say, pretty much owns the market in the U.S., at least for smaller companies. And you go up and there's a couple of other options. But you think about this, you don't switch those things lightly. They're embedded in how the business runs. And here's the thing, most SaaS companies think that they're on the right, and they may be there or they may be somewhere up there. But what's happening is the agents are pushing them to the left, because when an agent handles the interaction, the UI doesn't matter. The brand doesn't matter. The agent doesn't care. The workflow, to a big extent, doesn't matter because it's not humans that are doing it anymore. It's AI agents. And all that matters is, can you hit an API and get the job done? And if that's all you are, you're a pipe. So one of the things that is happening right now that's pushing things to territory, I actually almost drew it this way, is I think that this is becoming steeper. And there's this little hump over here that you get onto the other side. And this, I would say, this is the system of record hump. And when you become that system of record, when you are the place that people go to get the information that they need, then I think you're in a much more defensible position than you are, because market forces are absolutely pushing everything down this way. And so if you think that you're here now, you're sliding backwards. And so this really is, it's not a flat line, which, it's a continuum. So I wanted to draw it flat, but it really isn't. It's elevated and it is uphill, and everybody is sliding down that hill and will continue to do that as there are more and more AI agents. So now, how do you know if you're one of those and you are sliding toward pipe territory or not? And here are 3 signals. You can think about this. People talk about the category and not your brand. And I think that's a real big distinction, is category versus brand. And if you own the category, that's not too bad. When people talk about rideshare, who owns the category of rideshare? Well, it's Uber and Lyft, and who else? There's a whole bunch of other apps and taxis and things like that look like that, but they own the category. And if you own the category, that's a little bit different. But when people are talking about the category, not your brand, they're talking about CRMs. They're talking about what you do. Do they say your name, or do they say the generic category? Is it, scheduling software, or is it, Calendly, for example? And I think they've got, they're sliding in a direction right now. Example, do we use Salesforce, or do we use a CRM? Do we use a Pipedrive? Do we use, what is it? And more, that does matter, because a lot of those can be systems of record. But more and more, what's happening is those are starting to slide down, and the more agents are using them instead of people are using them, that's absolutely going to be the case. If people say, we use invoice software, not, we use your product. You're becoming a commodity. So think about how people are talking about that commodity, or talking about it, brand versus your company name. The second signal is you're used mostly via integrations, not directly. And so we'll say, integrations, which are great. But the problem is, if you're being used just through an integration, then nobody knows who you are, and you really are invisible. And again, you're being pushed to that pipe territory. So how much of your usage comes through your actual app versus through APIs and integrations? We absolutely need APIs and integrations, especially in an AI agent world, so that they can access that. But if most of your value is delivered through other products, your infrastructure. Infrastructure is valuable. I mean, most of us are on some sort of cloud hosting. That's all infrastructure. It is valuable, but it's also vulnerable because infrastructure gets price shopped unless there's a platform. And this is why a data center versus an AWS or a Google Cloud, there's a lot more services and things that keep you there. They built a platform around that infrastructure. Big difference than just we provide hardware in the cloud. Way, way different. The third one to think about is renewals are about price, not outcomes. And this one is a tough one. When renewals roll around, what is that customer conversation? Is it, you helped us close 30% more deals this year and we want to expand? Or is it, can you knock 20% off the price? And I think we're going to see a lot more of that as we have fewer humans using the tool. They're like, you're able to automate most of this now. Your cost should be lower. Our cost should be lower. We don't want to pay for this anymore. And if we're going to have to pay this high price for whatever this utility is, this infrastructure is, why don't we just build it and own it? So if renewals feel like procurement negotiations instead of value conversations, you're pipe. So if you checked yes to two or more of those, you need to move right on the spectrum, and you need to do it really, really fast because pipes get squeezed, platforms get chosen. So how do you move from pipe to platform? Let me give you 3 concrete moves. Move number 1 is to own the outcome, not just a function. Stop being a tool that does X and start being the place where X gets managed and measured. I'll give you an example. Don't just send emails. Show the dashboard of what those emails achieved, pipeline influence, deals closed, revenue generated. Make your product the place that people go to understand the outcome, not just execute the task. Because agents can execute tasks. They're doing it now, and 12 months from now, they'll be doing it 100 times more. But humans still want to see results. And if you are where they see the results, you're moving toward being a platform. Move number 2, become that system of record. Remember the hill that I showed you, the system of record hill? So here's an example of what I mean of owning the data. If you're a scheduling tool, don't facilitate bookings. Store the history of every booking, customer preferences, cancellation patterns, lifetime value. Was the appointment kept? Is there any additional information that you have about those appointments that you can use? Maybe do some prediction. Maybe do confirmations, do promotions. What is it that you can do to add additional value, but hold on to that data so that they're looking and they're looking to you to provide answers about what's going on with the service that you deliver. Move number 3, offer capabilities agents need you for. Don't just be a pass-through, be a brain. Give agents access to proprietary data, specialized models, or complex workflows that they can't replicate. An example, if you're in legal tech, don't just provide templates. That is so 2020 now. Provide a library of jurisdiction-specific clause recommendations based on millions of contracts. If you're in healthcare, don't just schedule appointments. Provide predictive models for patient no-shows based on your unique data set. Make yourself irreplaceable. Because if an agent can route around you, it absolutely will. Let me make this really visual. This is probably where you are today, somewhere in the middle. And every feature you build, every integration you launch, every pricing decision you make, it's either moving you left or it is moving you right. And left, you're a commodity. Pricing pressure, low switching cost, high churn risk. Right, you're a platform where you have pricing power, you have higher switching cost, and long term stickiness. And the question is, which direction are you moving? And most founders don't even realize they're drifting until it's too late. They're focused on adding features, closing deals, shipping fast, and all those are absolutely good things. But they're not asking, does this make us more essential or more replaceable? And that, I think, is the question that matters more than anything right now in this race to AI. Here's the big idea: pipes get squeezed, platforms get chosen. In the AI agent era, the companies that own the relationship and control the data will absolutely thrive. The ones that just provide a function, they'll get commoditized super fast. The question is, which direction are you moving? Most founders don't even realize that they're drifting left until it's too late. They're focused on adding features, closing deals, shipping fast, and all those are really good things. But they're not asking, does this make us more essential or more replaceable? And that is the question that matters more now than ever before. So here's the big idea: pipes get squeezed, platforms get chosen. And in the AI agent era, the companies that own the relationship and control the data will absolutely thrive. The ones that just provide a function, they'll get commoditized really fast. So ask yourself right now, am I building a pipe or am I building a platform? And if the answer scares you, good. That means that you can see the problem, and problems that we can see, we can absolutely fix. All right, next video, we're going to get even more blunt, more straight into it. What will thrive in this new world and what will die? And what inside your team needs to change for you to make it through? This is the one that separates the survivors from the casualties. So hit subscribe. You definitely don't want to miss it. And if you're realizing that you're sliding toward pipe territory and you need help moving to the right, reach out. This is exactly what I work on with founders. So thanks for watching. Now go figure out which side of that spectrum you're on and move toward essential.